Hey, welcome to another episode of ArmTalk. I'm your host, Jody Williams. And once again, today, this is part 3 of the series, The Challenge, okay? So, without further ado, let me bring you on my guests. My guests, the two studs in the arm wrestling community, and they're up-and-comers, okay? One hails out of Oregon, the other one hails out of Idaho. So, coming from Oregon, I got Nick Mower. Nick, are you there?
I'm here and ready to go.
All right. And coming out of Idaho, Jason Foster. Jason, are you there?
I'm here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So, boys, tell me something. August 20th is just around the corner. Sandpoint, Idaho. There's a big tournament coming up. You know, we've done these series before. The first one was David Till and myself. The second one happened a couple weeks ago with Brennan Till and Aaron Yersey. And tonight, you guys get center stage. Tell me what's going on. Hey, Jason, explain to everybody out there on the show how this whole thing came about.
So it's actually just one of our local spots that, we like to go to. And part of working for the tire shop up here is we get to know a lot of people. So we kind of knew the owner of the Pastime Club and the venue. But wanted to see if he wanted to dip his toes into arm wrestling, and he was all for it, man. He's even more jacked about it than we are sometimes. And every chance we get, man, he's super fired up about it, getting as many sponsors and as much prize money and as many trophies and awards and everything that he can do, getting all that squared away. Pretty much all we've had to do is get in touch with everybody and schedule everything. So he's been a super big help. But it was really just, over a bottle of beer asking, what he was cool with doing. And it kind of snowballed from there. And now it's growing up to be something bigger than we had ever imagined. So it's super awesome.
That's not a bad thing. Now, I got to ask you, because I'm asking Nick Mower the same thing. So, Jason, what are your measurements? Like, how much do you weigh and stuff?
I'm 6'1.5". I walk around about 220, but I'm going to put on a little bit of weight, come in as strong as I can. I'd imagine come time to pull, I'd be around 235.
Now, Nick Mower, you want to tell everybody out there, what are your measurements, please?
Yeah, so I currently stand at about 6'4", and right now I'm dropping a little bit of weight just to get a little leaner and faster in my match. And my last measurement, I was weighing in at 360 pounds. I'm no small boy, that's for sure.
So, and everybody out there needs to understand. So, like Daniel Urick's out there, my man Paul Stevens in the house. We know if anything has to do with Idaho, Tiffany will be in the house also. You got to wonder, somebody who's about 225 or so, against somebody who's 360. And so people kind of ask me who don't know about the sport, oh, well, the bigger man's always going to win. Not necessarily, because this is where the technique comes into play. Now, Jason, how long you been in the sport?
I've never entered any kind of tournament. I've never done anything than practice pulls. I've been taking it seriously for about 5 or 6 months now, but I have no actual record in arm wrestling.
Gotcha. And Mower, you come in and how long you been pulling in the sport?
I've been taking the sport seriously for just over 3 years. I got back into it July 4th with Herman McCoy's tournament out there in Willamina, Oregon in July 4th of 2019. However, my very first time I ever dipped my toes in the water in the sport was July 4th of 2006. So my grand total time in the sport has been 16 years.
Nice. And for those that don't know, Nick Mower, if you go on Facebook, he is in charge of the Oregon rankings page on Facebook. So what that is, you'll have a list of pullers in the state of Oregon, and they're ranked by weight class, and they're also ranked by overall. Now, we all know when it comes to rankings, some way, somehow, some people are not always going to be satisfied, but it's a thankless job. Nick, we do appreciate you running that thing. If you have any questions, you always know where to go. So we do appreciate that. It does kind of, and just to get you caught up with that. So, Jason, the reason why myself and Nick decided to go ahead and create the Oregon rankings because there's not a lot of tournaments here in the Northwest. Okay. So we thought, hey, to keep people hungry, to keep people want to train hard and go after one another, we create this ranking system. That way, for those that really can't travel, you can still sink your teeth into somebody and get that exposure that you need. Now, here we go. I was in Boise, Idaho a couple years ago from the TAL2 that Jeff Frank put on. That was awesome, but then that kind of went away. And now we got this event here coming up in Sandpoint on August 20th, hoping that this will be a yearly thing. What's your thoughts on having this event up there in Idaho, in the panhandle of Idaho, hoping this will be an annual thing?
We've talked about it, and I think that's the goal, to make this one as awesome as we possibly can, and then just to make it bigger and bigger every year to the point where we even, gotta start looking at bigger venues or if we're able to make more space at the venue that we have, because we love Dave, we love the Pastime Club, that guy's awesome.
Right.
But it's not the biggest venue ever, so we'd have to figure something out there. But it's definitely, we want to keep growing it and keep having it every year and keep promoting it. And we want Sandpoint, Idaho to be the arm wrestling spot on the map for Idaho, because there's not a lot of spots around here that are super big on arm wrestling, and we want that for our area.
Oh, we know some Idaho boys. There's a handful that came to my tournament last month in Bend, Oregon. So we know Robbie Topes, TJ Lewis, Kenny Ferguson, Jeff Moses wasn't able to come on, but he lives down there. John Laverne, the list goes on and on. There's a couple brothers that came down. One looks like Aquaman. One looks like Thor. I can't remember what their names were. You might, I think you know who I'm talking about, but I don't know their names. I'm hoping those guys will be there also.
Oh, yeah. No shortage of arm wrestlers in Idaho. I was just talking, really big events specifically. I feel like Idaho's kind of underrepresented as far as the amount of tournaments in the state. So we're trying to make this one as big as we can.
You know what I see? And I think I might have mentioned this to you, Nick, that down the road somehow maybe we can make some kind of try thing where, hey, we have Oregon's involved, Idaho's involved. We'll go ahead and, invite Washington in there, and we'll have like a state tournament cup where, hey, guess what? You'll get 5 guys, and whoever wins their matches, depending on the point system, will take home the cup, and they have the cup for a whole year until the next tournament comes around. Because we know Washington State takes place in December. Oregon, my event, the LOD Foundation tournament, takes place in June. I'm trying to get my hands together for Oregon State. You guys got the Sandpoint one up in there, so we're hoping we can do something like that. Would that be something you might be interested in, Mr. Foster?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. Making it kind of a Pacific Northwestern, round robin almost throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
Pulling every state and going to every spot. And, like you said, it'd definitely be something to talk about. And I think we would all be really interested in that.
Oh, yeah. If we did that, Nick Mower, what would your idea be? Because I know we kind of chat about that, in private, but the more I thought about it, the more like, you know what, they do that kind of stuff down south. And, we talk about arm wrestling. There's so many pullers here in the Northwest that don't get recognized. You mentioned the Northwest, and then you hear Jacob Abbott, and that's probably about it, But, we got some studs up in the Northwest. That includes Oregon, Washington, Idaho. You can throw Robbie Tope in there too, but we don't get the recognition that we do. So if we were to do something like this, some kind of tri-state tournament or whatnot, how do you think it would unfold? What would be your ideas about that?
Yeah, so figuring out the logistics on how this would work is the big question. That's the only thing that's, I think, holding this all back. I don't think there's any lack of, participants wanting to, participate in this kind of tournament setting. And so whether we incorporate that into the already existing tournaments, or maybe we set something up that's completely a standalone thing where, we locate a central point in each state and it round robins every year. So say, as an example, next year we start up in Washington, we all go show up at this tournament, and then, majority of the winners in that tournament, that's the state champion. They take the cup home for the next year, and then the next tournament, say it's over in Sandpoint, Idaho, everybody shows up, and determining, who wins the majority of the wins in that tournament is who takes cup that year, and so on and so forth. So that's an idea that I've had, or kind of like what you were mentioning earlier, where we just incorporate it into the existing tournaments and go, if you want to be a participant in the Tri-State Cup, you throw your name in the hat and throw in, $5 or whatever, just to help out with the event and stuff.
Yeah.
And then any of those names that turn out to be winners, you just, figure out the math or whatever. And then that's who takes home that cup or whatever. And so that's kind of some of my thoughts on how we can start this. However, I haven't seriously, thought about it or reached out as far as, getting ideas from, yourself or Jacob Abbott or some of the guys in Idaho yet. So it's just trying to figure out and see what needs to be done, or logistically what the easiest way to make this happen would be.
I agree. I like that. And again, everybody, I'm here with Jason Foster, Nick Mower here. Those guys are going to be going head-to-head on August 20th, Sandpoint, Idaho. And it's called the Challenge, right? First and foremost, don't forget to hit the like button. But Daniel Urick's in the house. Daniel said, hey, we could probably have one of the events up in Eastern Washington or maybe Central Washington. Daniel Urick, he's got some connections. He's held a tournament before, so he knows what to do. I do like the idea, and my question to both you guys would be, if we did that, because I know I know this. Trust me when I say this. I've been to Texas before, right? They got so much, they got their own league. It's their own thing. It's called the TAL, not the one that Jeff Frank does, but it's called the Texas Arm Wrestling League. And basically they have all kind of qualifiers before the Texas State Championships. They got a Northern qualifier, Southern qualifier, Central qualifier, all that kind of stuff. And I know that if we were to do that, it can create new rivalries. Don't get me wrong. I love the rivals in Oregon, but then it just means something different when you get to pull somebody from Washington. It means a little bit different when you get to pull somebody from Idaho, because now it's like, okay, because guess what? Everybody on your team in the state of Idaho is behind you. Everybody like Jacob Abbott and all the boys, are behind anybody from Washington. Just like if Nick Mower's up there, dude, I got you, Nick. Let's go ahead. I'll be in your corner, whatever, because you're representing your state. How cool would that be? You can answer. You can go ahead and answer that first, Nick.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this is, a little bit of camaraderie and, healthy competition. We all want to see each other improve. So, if we have something to strive towards, that kind of gives us the ammunition to go out and train and get better. That way we can start making a name for ourselves up here in the Pacific Northwest, because like you said earlier, outside of like Robbie Topi and Jacob Abbott and some of the other guys that, world champions of long ago are all that people talk about when it comes to this region. But,
right.
If we're going to make a name for ourselves, we got to get serious, buckle down, and, start hitting the training hard.
Oh, I assure you, when my ass leaves and I'm in the Midwest or I'm in the South, rest assured, I'm bringing that Northwest flag on my shoulder, representing the whole, when I go down there and knock heads down there. So, Jason, you tell me, how do you feel about this? If we were to put this thing together, can you imagine all the Idaho guys, even though from Boise to Sandpoint, Pocatello, Coeur d'Alene, wherever, all you guys are, got each other's back, and you're focused because now, hey, you pulling somebody from Oregon. Hey, you might be pulling Jacob Abbott or Sean Lester, or there's somebody Oregon. There's a Brian Fry. There's an Aaron Yersey. The list goes on, and we feel the same way. So, do you think you guys in Idaho will be up for something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Brotherhood up here is real strong. We've got, Doug Goodman knows everybody in the sport. I know you guys know Doug Goodman. I've been training with him a bit. But, everybody that he knows and everybody that I think would be interested in doing something like that, I think it would be beneficial for everybody. This is the first tournament I've ever been in, let alone, I'm hosting it. So I'm going to learn a lot through this experience, and I'm ready for that, and I'm excited for that. And I think it's going to give me a lot to work on in the future, and, a lot to think about as far as where I want to go with the sport and, how far we all want to go with it. But I think something like that could definitely be in our future. And I think, like Nick said, the camaraderie is the biggest thing, and building relationships with people and having each other's backs in tournaments and traveling together and, just having brothers out there with you while you're pulling, I think makes all the difference. And being able to go head to head with almost like teams versus teams or that kind of thing. I think it's a really good thing for the sport.
Can you imagine the both of you guys, and this thing kicks off, and all of a sudden we got like team shirts. Like you can separate yourself from everybody else because oh yeah, he's part of the tri-state challenge matches. Hey, what's going on? Good luck, that kind of thing.
Right.
So let's fast forward to August 20th because now, and I did the challenge because I think the whole thing might have started with Doug Goodman because I've been knowing Doug since I got into the sport. This is year number 12 for me. So, and Doug's been to my house. Him and his daughter came to my house one year during the summer, and we were going. He brought his team Thunderstruck at the time before he moved to Idaho, I believe. But I know Doug for a long time. So when everything was laid out officially, then David Till got the ball rolling. Then all of a sudden his brother Brennan got a hold of Aaron, and then here comes Jason. Now Nick's involved. I'm thinking, okay, in this thing, I'm trying to pump this thing up as much as possible. The only thing that's killing me is the fact that I have to wait another flipping whole month for this thing, because I'm telling you, that's how excited I am. I heard about the awards that's going to happen. We have a group chat going on. For those that don't know, we got a group chat going on. We're talking about, hey, we got specialized shirts for the Supermax pullers. What size do you wear? That kind of stuff excites me. And I know Aaron's in the chat. He's excited. Mower's excited. I know you're excited. Hell, Tiffany's not participating in the tournament, and I know she's fired up. I got Paul Stevens in California. He's fired up. So I'm telling you right now, what else do you expect from this kind of turnout there, Mr. Foster?
I think like I said, I think it's going to grow to be something bigger than we ever imagined. Promoting it here at the shop where we all work. I work at the same shop David does. Brendan was actually down working with me today, and he's going to be, we're going to be training right after we get off this phone call. But in the shop, I mean, everybody that comes through that door, we're giving out flyers, telling them when it's going to be. We're going to local bars, our regular spots, everywhere that we can, posting it online, social media. I don't think we even realize how far our outreach is, and I think this tournament is going to be huge, and I think the response from the community is going to be awesome because I think the people up here are really going to love it. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how great it actually turns out.
So tell me something. This question goes to both of you guys. I'm going to start with Nick first. Mr. Mower, what is your training regimen like? I mean, you don't have to give away all your secrets as far as, your strategy for the match, but what is your normal training like getting ready for a tournament? Tell everybody out there.
So, I mean, like you said, without going into too much detail, a lot of my training is just educated table time. And the simplest way I can explain what I've been doing the last couple of years with my team out in Willamina is really similar to what Devin Larrett does. Is just, let the guys pull in any direction they want to pull in, and you just contain as much as you can. And then once you start finally getting towards that point where you're tired, that's when you start going towards the attacking and, the attacking mode, the more offensive side. That way you can work all angles of the table at all times.
Right.
But more specifically, recently with this match coming up, I've been going up to the Brute Squad a lot recently. That's the team out in Portland, and that's where all the heavy hitters are. And my last couple of practices, I was almost exclusively pulling with Josh Heck, right and left. And everybody knows up here that this kid is no joke, especially on the left hand, but his right's right up there with it, if you ask me. And, pulling on the table for a couple hours with almost just Josh it's wearing you out, and it's taking you to your limits at all times. So I get off the table with Josh. I rest for a couple of minutes. Then I get up on the table with Pastor Mark, and then I start going at it with him, and we're working on the technical side of, okay, here's where you're falling short. This is what you got to do to shore that gap. And then we start working on that until we start figuring out that, I'm getting where I need to go.
Right.
And most recently, at the last practice, the last person I pulled was Aaron, and we worked on some of those weaknesses as well with Pastor Mark in order to make sure that I'm in the best shape that I can be in every single angle. Nice.
And before I throw that same question to Jason, we do have a question in the chat. Yes, and blow this whole thing up. Excuse me, my language, Tiffany, but we're trying to blow this shit up, right? Like Daniel said. Now, question comes from Minnick Arms. Jason, check this out. It says, did you reach anyone out of the guys from Montana, like Brian Johnson, a staple in arm wrestling there? I think he said he's closer to Athol, Idaho than anywhere else. So if you guys can reach out to some of those Montana guys, that would be awesome also.
Yeah, we tried to reach out to the people that we made connections with when we went to a practice in Snohomish,
right.
Washington, with Jacob Abbott and his team. Since we kind of already had a connection with those guys, that's who we were mainly focused on since they had met us. And, we knew who they were. For our first tournament, it was kind of easiest to get those guys involved instead of reaching out to people who have never heard of us and, wouldn't know us from a hole in the wall. So I think that's why we didn't really look into Montana, because we haven't really done much into Montana. I think David and Brennan, or at least Brennan, has done, I think, one tournament in Montana. But we're absolutely open to, trying to get more people involved and squeezing as many people in as we can at the last minute. Of course, anybody that's listening is welcome to come and pull in the tournament. But as far as setting up other super matches or anything like that, if we can fit it in, we would absolutely love to. So.
Nice. And before I get to that question about your training, I want to say one thing, and I got to make sure I said it for the last two shows. I got to say it for this one, right? So I dubbed this thing the challenge. Why? It's because you have three guys from Oregon, and trust me on that. And you got to understand, the three guys, Macho Man, Nick Mower, myself, we're from Oregon, but we got separate teams. We're not like on the same team. So there's that, right? Now we got experience, a lot more experience than you guys, than Jason and Brennan and David. And when that first came up, and I'm promoting it, and everybody's like, a lot of people were telling me, hey man, why are you guys challenging a bunch of amateurs? So this is where I'm gonna start getting rated R for a second. So plug your ears, Tiffany. So I just said I had to tell them to shut the fuck up. Reason why I said that's because we are at a time now in this sport, and I made a thread about this a while ago. I said, listen, this is not a sport that you're gonna go undefeated. I gotta take my hat off on this one. I said, listen, this is not a sport you're gonna wind up and go undefeated in. It's all about challenging yourself. So, again, we'll take Robbie Topi, for example. He came to my tournament last month. Cool. I said, hey, Robbie, he's like number 5th or 6th in North America in the supers left-handed, okay? I challenged him. I want to see where I stood. Now, did I think I was going to win? Maybe, maybe not. I at least wanted one win. I just wanted to see where I stood at. He could have gracefully said no, and I would have been into that. No big deal, But he accepted. Cool. So now in this scenario, you guys came to us. And you know what? It's all about challenging yourself. We could have said, nah, I don't know. I'm not sure about you guys. Maybe down the road. No, I like the sport. I like to compete. I like to pull new people. I'm not worried about taking a loss. I'm not at all. Because guess what? If I just happen to lose to David, I'll still have my house. I'll still have my family. It's not that serious, right? So I had to tell a whole bunch of people to shut the fuck up, and this is what we're doing here. And I'm going to promote the hell out of this tournament as much as I can, Now, sorry, I had to get on my soapbox for that. Now, as I was saying, Mr. Foster, tell everybody out there about your training regimen. What does a training regimen for Jason Foster looks like? Because I know the boys, David and Brennan, I know they're like bench pressing like Cadillac Escalades. They're like, lap pulling, apartment complex. They're doing all kind of stuff out there. So all kind of strength. So what does a training regimen look like for you?
Yeah, Brennan and David are they're a breed of their own, man. They're just built different. I can't do what they do. I'll be the first to admit it. They're the kind of guys that'll wear themselves out to the point where they can't even move, and then the next day get up and do it again. And I commend them for that, absolutely. But since I'm new in the sport, I think the most important thing for me, and not that Nick is new in the sport, but, you know, sort of similar to what he's doing, is table time as much as I can, getting to know me and my spots and, you know, what works for me and what doesn't, and figuring out my strong points and my weak points and my angles, and spending as much time as I can on the table. And I have to commend David and Brennan, because they are the ones who have brought me into the sport, taught me, you know, almost everything that I know about it. They're the ones that push me to pull as much as I can. They're the ones that I pull most of the time. And secondly, I just wanted to, you know, throw a quick thank you out there to Doug Goodman.
Yeah.
I did get to pull with him a little bit, and he taught me some awesome techniques that, you know, I'm definitely going to use. That guy's a genius when it comes to arm wrestling. So,
good man. He's a good man.
Mostly, I think you know, as far as weightlifting goes, I don't do a ton of it. I got into it a little bit, but when arm wrestling started taking over, I started focusing more on that. And eventually I will get back into weightlifting and powerlifting. But I want to get my techniques in, you know, in the condition that I want them before I started, you know, trying to just make them as strong as possible with just straight weightlifting. So. Oh,
good. Because I'm going to have Doug Goodman on the show in 2 weeks. And that one, everyone's going to want to listen to, because we're going to go over the rule set. But what I hear is WAL, but we're going to go live and we're going to go over the rule set and stuff. So, Nick Mower, do you know that how disadvantaged that we are? Do you understand how we're behind the 8 ball in this whole scenario? Do you know that?
Yeah, I do, and that's part of the reason why I went up to Brute Squad to go train, is because once I discovered the rule set was WAL rules, I'm like, I need to get on this now.
Yeah.
And so went up there and I started training for it. And, you know, I'm sitting here at home rewatching old WAL footage, watching the refs' calls and watching how everybody sets up and everything. That way I can get acclimated to this. So I'm not too caught off guard. Yeah, I'm not going to be 100% used to it, you know, come the day that we show up, because, you know, we've been training WAF, IFA rule set for years at this point. So just getting as acclimated as I can, getting as comfortable in the rule set as I'm able to. That way, come the day of, I don't want that to be an excuse, you know, should I lose. I'm not planning to lose that day whatsoever, but I'm not going to blame the rule set one way or another.
Right. And by the way, Kyle Darby's in the house. Nick Mower, Kyle Darby is looking for a match September 24th at the next Oregon Rankings event. So just throw that on your radar. Reason why I said we're at a disadvantage is because you got to realize, and this is where it favors Jason and David and Brennan, because the fact that if you wanted to, you guys can go on YouTube, punch our names up. You'll see nothing but all kind of videos of me, Mower, Macho Man, and all that kind of stuff. There is little to no footage of you guys. Now, with that being said, I do remember you guys being at Washington State Championships. That's all the footage we can go by, because Puller Magazine was there, and I do believe Mr. Nano Cruz, the man of Puller Magazine, he also has a match on the 20th. So, do you know anything about that, Mr. Foster?
As far as Nano, or as far as footage?
Because he's coming out there, and you know he's going to film and stuff, but also that he has a match too, and I'm not familiar with the name, but I do remember him being at Washington State, and he was laying the smackdown on people. Do you know anything about that?
David's been handling that. I know he is coming. He is confirmed. All of that is ready to go. We have everything set up for him. He will be there, and he will be filming everything for us and for, you know, the magazine. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of the guy that he's pulling, but I know he is set up, and I think he's going to be the one kicking off the whole thing, actually. So,
yes,
be looking out for him, you know, first up on the block.
Right. And Tiffany also wants to know, hey, is it any of you guys pulled a competition with the wall rules before? Yes, I have. I know Aaron has. Nick, have you done that before?
No, I got into the sport right as WAL was basically ending, just as like COVID was coming around the corner and stuff. So I haven't pulled an official tournament WAL style. However, some of the guys out there know I built my table a couple of years ago, and I did build it to match WAF and WAL requirements. So I do technically have a WAL table that I've pulled on before with the pads and all that stuff. Now, I haven't ever been in a super match or a tournament using those rule sets, though.
Right.
However, practice is what practice is. And, we do use those setups every once in a while just, for the hell of it. But no, nothing official.
It's going to be interesting because I've actually done that before. We had some wall qualifiers here in Bend, Oregon before, back in 2016, 2015. In that area, I had a couple qualifiers, and we use those rules. What's rough is the fact that trying to use those rules on a 7x7 elbow pad. Now, let me get everybody caught up. So, Yurik, I understand he knows this, but this is leaning more toward Tiffany and Jason. So, a standard WAL wall elbow pad is 7x9. Okay, so it has an additional 2x7. So when I get a hold of Doug Goodman, and we're going to get on here and talk about this in a couple of weeks, I need to know, because it will make a difference. Like, okay, are we using WAL pads if we're using WAL rules or whatever the case may be? And like I said, we'll talk more about that in a couple of weeks. But just to get everybody caught up with that, that's what it is. It's more like a rest grip. So it's more of you get your grip, it's thumbs down, close your hands and then go, right? And it's supposed to speed things up. Sometimes it can be a little sloppy. Other times it can be, where someone can get the jump and, sometimes you don't see it. I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but I will have to adapt what's going on. So that's what it is. We don't really train it here at practice because anybody who grew up in the sport knows that we grew up doing the IFA or the WAF rules where you just get your grip, square your shoulders, square your wrists, and then when the ref says go, you can do whatever the fuck you want after that. But because it's so, get your grip, thumbs down, then close your hands, somebody might get that a bit of a carve as they're closing their hands. And if the ref ain't on it, then, that can cause some chaos. So hopefully we'll get all that stuff ironed out. Minnick Arm says the 7x9 will favor Brennan. Okay. He has a strong defensive King's hook, so he'll be able to get way back Michael Todd style. So there you go. So Macho Man, if you're watching, that's basically what you're going to be going against. So and that's an awesome question, by the way. So going forward, and this will be your first ever tournament, correct, Jason?
Yeah, first anything official. All I've ever done is practices up until this point.
I'm gonna tell you right now, and anybody can feel free to comment what I'm about to say. Once you go to your first tournament, you're gonna be like, all right, when's the next one? Because I'm telling you, the atmosphere, the electricity that's at a tournament, you're gonna have so much fun. It's gonna be like, oh, dude, we gotta do this more often. It's just, sometimes your body can't always, do this every single week. Like in practice, you can control that. You can have a controlled practice, so to speak. But in a tournament, you leave everything on the table, so that way you're so sore, you wake up the next day going, man, this is, dude, I'm beat up. But it's good, and I'm glad we get the opportunity to do this, and I hope this, keeps going. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I can't even put into words how excited I am that everything came together in the way that it has, and I wish it was happening tonight, but I definitely have an addictive personality, and I know I'm going to be searching all over the place for the next tournament. And like you said, getting ready. When's the next one?
We have another, 5 weeks, guys? Like, seriously, we've been talking about this since last month, okay? And now, we're getting closer, but then you look and go, damn, we still got 5 weeks left. So there's all kind of preparation, and there's all kind of in our training where, okay, I got to make sure my training is good, but I got to make sure I dot my I's. I got to make sure I cross my T's and things like that. So All right. The Drew says, if you guys on PC trying to get everyone to have all the streams up at the same time, Evan and 90% on. Oh, so Beerman's on live apparently now. 90%. Yeah, it's Friday because 90% are always on Friday. They're on right now. Yeah, it's big time stuff. I'm telling you. So again, in the weight classes, so you're going to have the 154 class, right? You got the 155 to 176 class. You got the 177 to 198 pound class. You got the 199 to 242 class. And then you got the supers, the big boys, the 243 and over. So anybody out there who's curious about the weight classes, that's where it's at. Now, Foster, Mower, you guys are pulling best of 5 right-handed, correct?
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay. Now, with that being said, I'm assuming you guys are going to pull the tournament also, yes?
Yeah, I'm planning on pulling in the tournament too afterwards. Hopefully Nick doesn't beat me up too bad, but yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, I'm planning on also pulling the tournament regardless, how I feel. I just want to, pull as many people as I can. I mean, it's not so often I get to go to Idaho and meet new faces. So, regardless on how I'm feeling, as long as my arm, isn't literally too torn up, I'm going to go ahead and pull that tournament anyways.
And I have a correction, my mistake, because this is why I like people correcting me. Miss Tiffany, thank you very much. I said we have 5 weeks left. She went ahead and says, no, we got 4 weeks left. Okay. With that being, get myself in gear. I'm telling you, because this is going to be an event that everybody should be at. And then if you're not there, you suck. But when it's all said and done, you're going to be like, oh, you got to have another one. Now, don't wait for it to come and go and then say, man, I should have been there. You got 4 weeks to make plans. You got 4 weeks to get in gear. Okay. So I'm so excited. Now, with that being said, with the tournament, Mower, you're a dominant right or left-hand puller?
Back in the day, I would say less than 6 months ago, I would say I was pretty equal left and right.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, my right hand has been taking off astronomically. I mean, you've probably seen it just in the rankings alone. Like over this last year, I was, in like the low 20s, like 22 or 23. And I'm like, that ain't good enough. I know I'm a better puller than that. So I started training myself, whipping that arm into shape. And, my first super match didn't go the way I was hoping it would. But then again, after I took that loss, I took my homework back with me, trained up, and my very next super match, I cracked into the top 10 finally. Then after that, went to the tournament out there in Bend at the LLD, and I saw my first super match that I had where I was trying to, make giant leaps. And I'm like, okay, here he is. It's time to show that I've actually been able to shore those gaps up and, actually beat him this time. And so I finally took my first win over him, pulling this guy for 3 years since I got back into the sport. And it was a good feeling to finally have my first legit win over this gentleman. And he is no slouch in the sport. Everybody in Oregon probably knows who Brody is. And that kid's a great puller, and he's been progressing, ever since I've met the guy. So I'm just glad that I finally got my first win over him. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, my right arm is getting dangerous now. And, finally starting to see myself closing the gaps against guys like Aaron Yearsley, Josh Heck, and some of those other, top 5 guys. And so I'm really pushing to get that top spot here within the next year. That's where my mindset is right now.
There you go. There's nothing wrong with that. Mr. Foster, are you right-handed? How is your left hand fare? Tell us things about that.
My right hand is definitely my strong hand. I have a condition. I have no cartilage in the backside of my left shoulder, so my left hand is kind of tough to train. But, even so, training with David every day, my left hand is no slouch, that's for sure. And it was kind of tough judging where I was at because, David and Brennan are such monsters, and that's really all that I was ever pulling was with David and Brennan until I went to Snohomish and pulled with Jacob Abbott and all those guys. And I fared way better than I thought I was going to. And even there, Jacob Abbott corrected a couple things that I was doing wrong. And a couple things that he showed me helped me out a lot. So I'm still learning a lot. But I think, like Brennan said, nobody knows anything about me. You can't find footage about me because there just is none. It doesn't exist. And I'm really looking to see where I stack up against, guys like Nick and guys like Aaron and guys like you, and see, where I'm at. I feel like if I can hang, practicing with David and Brennan, I've got to be in there somewhere. So I guess come tournament day, we'll find out.
Yes, and the Minnick boys out of Washington, they'll be there. I think Joe Cranford said he might be there, so that'll be awesome. And since we're talking about that, well, let me give you some insight about what I'm doing. So for the last year, I guess you could say, year and a half, my right hand has been bipolar, right, for the most part. It does good, then all of a sudden it just wants to take a vacation. And right now, I'm still recovering from my match from John Laverne, Idaho native, mind you. So, yeah. So my right wrist is still giving me issues right now, and because that guy is so strong, his hand and wrist is like granite. So, if you ever see that match, it's, a Song Puller magazine, me versus, basically I was pulling the whole state of Idaho that day. So you can check it out. I pulled the Robbie Topi and John Laverne. My left hand is more my dominant hand. It's feeling very, very good, very, very strong, very, very dangerous right now, except for Topi, because Topi is that much better than everybody in the Northwest. But yes, left hand's feeling phenomenal. Right hand, it may show up, it may not, I don't know. But to piggyback on what Mower was saying, I think I would just put my name in the hat right-handed just to see what I can do. Now I may go 2-0 because my wrist is that sore, and the tournament happened in June. So we're talking, 3-4 weeks ago. So I'm still pretty damn sore. But nonetheless, I'm going to go out there and give it all I got right-handed. Left hand, my goal is to walk through everybody. That's just what it is. But it all depends on if our super matches are just the wall setup or the entire tournament the wall setup. That's going to be the question, but that question will not be answered tonight because the guy that's going to talk about that once again is going to be Doug Goodman. He'll be on the show in a couple weeks. So, Adam, he says, Oregon for the sweep. Let's go Thunder. Okay, so basically he's saying Oregon's going to roll in there, whip some ass, and that's how it's going to go down because Idaho came to Bend, Oregon last month, and they did some damage. They was thumping everybody. I'm thinking, okay, now we have to go over there, return the favor, okay? And then you got the Washington guys. Hey, what about us? We did damage too. What about us? They'll have it in the mix. And like I said at the earlier beginning of this show, when you get 3 states like that, and you get them involved, I'm not worried about Utah. I'm not concerned about them. If Montana want to jump in here, they can get some too. But when you get 3 states in here and you get real competitive, it's going to make for an awesome, awesome event. And like I said, I can't say it enough. I'm so excited to be a part of that. So I really want to tip my hat to Jason Foster and all the guys. What's your guys' team name, by the way?
To be honest, none of us are a part of the team officially. We all pull with the guys in Rathdrum and Doug Goodman and his team over there. But we have no official team. But we'll see. That may change after this tournament.
Because you got to have a team name. So, Jersey has a team. He's dealing with Bruce Squad. And sometimes, Nick will go over there and train with those guys. Nick's out of Willamina. Nick, what's your guys' team name?
So my home team, Willamina, we kept it real simple. It's Willamina Risk Wrestlers. We're all about locking up wrist to wrist and seeing what's what with all of our teammates. Now, that's not how I typically pull. However, I have been training, like I said, in all positions. So no matter where I go, I'm going to feel solid. And then, when I got back into the sport, my first practice was up at Pastor Mark's. And it was probably the smallest group I've ever seen up there. It was myself, Pastor Mark, and Peter. And some of you guys might know who Peter is. And that was the whole practice. It was just us 3 for 2 hours, just going at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started practicing up there as much as I could. Being that he's about an hour and 15 minutes away from me, it's hard to justify going up there every single weekend, especially with gas the way it is.
Right.
But I try to get out and grab as many hands as I can. That way I can see how everybody pulls and learn their angles to see how I need to, strengthen myself in every single aspect.
Got it. Well, like I said, you got the Brute Squad home base in Portland, Oregon. You said the Willamina what? The wrist what?
Willamina wrist wrestlers.
That sounds like a Herman McCoy thing, because he's because
I mean he's an OG, and that's where a lot of that comes from.
Right. You got the Southern Oregon guys down there in the Medford, Myrtle Creek area. You had the Willamette Valley High Rollers once upon a time. I think they kind of dissolved, so they're kind of finding a way. But there is this one team, trying to think who they are. The longest reigning team there is, the oldest team. I mean, we've been going at it since this team has been established in 2011. I'm trying to remember what their name was. Twisted Wrist. Yes, that is the team located here in Central Oregon. So we're right in the middle of the state. So everywhere we go, we got to travel, a hell of a distance. But that's my team. That's me. That's, Nano Cruz and Ryan Lance, the OGs of the group, the co-founders, if you will, co-captains, call it what you want. We got the Green Twins, David and Christian. We got Ken Manson, Brandon Carlson. We got Derek. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, we got some studs over here. We got Taryn, ESAP. And I'm telling you, we got some new studs that came in the fray from the LOV tournament. So we can make some noise too. And so I get excited. And before this tournament, though, I got to throw it out there to my boy, Jonathan Woody, because next weekend in Myrtle Creek, he has a tournament. It's always the last Saturday in July. So Myrtle Creek, Oregon, Millside Park, come check it out. The Joe Woody Invitational, all proceeds go to the Suicide Prevention Program. That's also a tournament everyone in Oregon circles their calendars for. And I know Washington comes down there. Northern California makes the trip up there. Feel free to come on down there and support a good cause. I'll be down there refereeing. I'll let you in on a little secret, Jason. You can tell the boys this. I will personally not participate in that event. I will be reffing, but I won't participate because I want to be at my absolute best. I want to be my healthiest because it'd be disrespectful if I came up to Sandpoint with an injury, right? So I'm going to come up there 100% fresh as a daisy so I can go ahead and put everything on display. How about that?
Hey, man, I respect you for that, and I'm not gonna lie. I think you're gonna need it. David is a monster, dude. It's crazy, and I don't have the pleasure of pulling as many people as I would like to. But Brendan has pulled quite a few people, and we both agree David is just like nothing we've ever felt. It's insane. I think you guys are gonna go to war. I think you're gonna be surprised at how well he does, and none of us and nobody that we've tried pulling with can even touch his left hand right now. So I'm excited to see what happens.
I've been in sport long enough to now nothing surprises me anymore. And don't forget the Capital City Grippers in Salem. That's a squad too in there. And David's in the house. What's up, David? How you doing? Nothing surprises me anymore. Once you've been in the sport long enough, you kind of seen everything and kind of go, okay, you know what to take seriously, what not to take seriously. And kind of go, okay, any person that's on the table, you do not take lightly, right? And like I said, I mean, we're the underdog. I wouldn't say the underdogs, but we're going into uncharted waters over here because, again, y'all can sit there if y'all really wanted to. Watch film on Jody, watch film on Mower, watch film on, Aaron, and kind of go, oh, yeah, let's prepare for this, let's prepare for that. And I get it, as you should. But I know that at some point you got to go, okay, you done watched all the film you could. Now you just got to get there. And when you lock up, it's a whole different feel. I can watch as much video and footage of David, bench pressing a 1,800 square foot house, right? But at the same time, I won't know until I lock up with him. Just like him, he can watch all the footage of me doing this, that, and the other, but he won't know until he locks up with me. That's why it makes this thing so exciting and stuff, What do you think, Mower?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you should never take that competition lightly because you never know who's training to take you out.
Right.
I mean, so I understand that Jason's, inexperienced at this point in his arm wrestling journey, but it doesn't mean he's not taking it seriously, that he's not training for this opportunity to try and, take somebody out. For now, I'm a no one up here in the Pacific Northwest. However, I'm trying to, play my name basically. That way people do know if I show up at a tournament, it's like, oh, that's not just some slouch from Oregon. It's like, no, I got to take him seriously too. So,
right.
My hat's off to you, Jason, for chasing me and, trying to see where you're at, regardless on how this goes. But, just like Aaron was telling his opponent in the last video, I am not taking you lightly either. I'm taking this match very seriously, as if, you're a Robbie Topi of the world or something like that. So you're going to get everything out of me. If it requires more, I'm going to get even more out of there.
There you go. And it's nothing but healthy competition, and I got a message I got to give Jason, because David says, hey, let Jason know I got to go ride the new motorcycle. So he kind of had a laughing emoji. So I guess you know what that means, right?
Yeah. He switched today. We normally work together. Him and his brother switched, so me and Brennan could pull a little bit. But David also was planning on getting a motorcycle today, so I guess that means he got it.
Nice. Well, good. I'm glad he got a chance to do that kind of stuff. And I'll tell everybody this, and everybody in there is watching. Minnick, you're watching. Tiffany, Adams in there. Here's the thing, because I've gone to tournaments where I felt nice and strong, ready to kick everyone's ass, and just got lit up, right? Got lit up, went 2-and-out, scratched my head. What the hell happened? And there's times where I was like, man, I don't know what's going on, dude. Man, I'm not feeling good. Hope I can get, one win and win the whole goddamn tournament. So you just never know until the day of, or even then you don't know until the actual, when your name is called and you put that hand on that pen, you grip up, then you'll know from there. It happens, arm wrestling is a weird sport. You think you're on top of the world and you go, well, crap. And I tell you what, and Mower, you can attest to this. So when you have a tournament, Jason, depending on who's on the bracket, you can go there and go, well, crap, I might have a bad day because look who's on my side of the bracket. I may go 2-and-out. Or you may be on the good side of the bracket while the studs, for some odd reason, is on one side of the bracket. You might be on the other. You get to cakewalk your way to the finals where everybody on the other side of the bracket is in a dogfight. It happens, So that's just part of the sport, You can sit up there with a grinder, and you win, but you're burnt out, but your next opponent might have had a bye, fresh as a daisy. That happens. I've been on both sides of that fence before. So, yeah, you always got to kind of prepare yourself. It's like, okay, where am I at? How many people are in my class? And then I'll just go from there, So it's going to be fun, though,
Yeah, man, I'm excited about it. I'm just focused on bringing the strongest and best version of me that I can, and seeing where I stack up. I had a question for Nick, though, real quick. I don't know if you remember, but when I was in Snohomish pulling, we did pull a little bit. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that we gripped up, and I think we pulled a couple of times, and I also remember pulling David a little bit. I don't think I got a chance to pull Brennan at all either. But yeah, I was up there with the goal of like, let's just grip up with as many people as I can to see, how I'm progressing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just didn't know if you even knew who I was or remembered that at all. But yeah, I know you gripped up with David. He told me to pull you, and so I got a little bit of table time with you.
And
I remember pulling with David pretty well because we pulled left. Like, I mean, that's his good arm and everything. And, we got there locked up and, went wrist to wrist in the center of the table. And I swear, if you put a timer on that match, it would have been another Michael Todd versus Jerry Caderet kind of thing. We were just sitting there locked up going, I ain't moving until you move. And so he would kind of test the waters and, we'd start locking up even more. And then, I'd start testing the waters. And then eventually I think one of us just gave up. It's like, okay, we got to get off the table. So someone stops yelling at us, get off that table.
Well, hey, sometimes those are the good practices because you can train, with your teammates and stuff. in your own additional training. And then when you go to a bigger practice, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, is what I'm doing working? Because I want to try it on somebody that's not familiar with me, or I want to try it on somebody I don't see on a weekly basis. Because, I mean, you can train with your teammates, don't get me wrong, but after a while, sometimes it can get stale. Sometimes, your teammates know what you're going to do, you know what they're going to do. So now you work on different things and kind of go, okay, I've been working on this thing. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go to a bigger practice and pull guys I'm not used to see if it's working. So they got this thing where it says, I don't know if you guys agree. And by all means, you guys in the chat, I want you guys to comment on this. So it goes like this. Someone told me once upon a time, look stupid in practice so you don't look stupid in a tournament. And when that person told me that, I'm thinking, there you go. I like that. All right, Shelby Foster, awesome show. So excited for my little bro at his first tournament. Go, Jason. Yes, I'm telling you, it's going to be so exciting. We are trying so hard to promote the heck out of this thing, Mind, muscle, mobility, love from Kansas. See that? Even the Midwest is getting involved. This is what it's all about. Once you, and here's the thing, guys. Mower, you already know about this, but Jason, here's the thing. Once you start being in the sport for a while, you make lifelong friends. It's a fraternity, if you may, lifelong friends, no matter what. Call them up. Dude, I got a question. What's up? I got you. We can be opponents, fine, but anytime, if you want to call up Nick Mower after you guys' match, Nick, I've been trying to get this thing going. I'm struggling. Can you help me out? I'm sure Nick will be like, yeah, let me know what you got going on, or send me a video. I'll see what I can do to try to correct that. I'm sure, I am totally positively sure Nick would not hesitate to do that. Because I've been called plenty of times in my career over the years, helping people out. That's my way of giving back to the sport, because this is what I love to do, So again, Jason, welcome to the sport of arm wrestling, where, hey, once you do your first tournament, you are automatically in the brotherhood, my man.
Yeah, I'm beyond excited. I can't even put it into words, and it's been everything that's on my mind from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. I'm at the shop with David, and all we do is talk about the tournament and what we can do to get better and what we can do to make the tournament better. And I definitely feel like it's going to be a very long journey, and I'm super stoked for it.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, we got 4 weeks left. Yes, 4 weeks left. Thank you, Tiffany, for correcting me. So we're going to still pump this thing as much as possible. Like I said, in 2 more weeks, I'm going to have Doug Goodman on here. We're going to go over the rules. So I would advise everybody involved in the super matches to chime in if they can. Okay. One last question before we get off the air. It says, it's a comment actually. Adam, arm wrestling is the best sport in the world. There is nothing like the bond everyone has. Everyone respects each other regardless of what you see from other trolls. And that's the thing, because trolls did not exist when I got into the sport. Well, there was one, but now it is kind of multiplied, arm wrestling discussion page. But yeah, once you get into the sport, man, you're gonna have lifelong friends. So before we cut you guys loose on a Friday night, Mower, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you brought up the whole thing, after this is all said and done, helping out Jason, as far as, some techniques or, training methods and whatnot. Just wanted to say, it was I think a year or two ago, I think when you and I went up to Jacob Abbott's place, you showed me something on how to set up when you're going to grip up against somebody. And I'm telling you now, that thing you showed me, and I'm not giving away what it is because this is part of my ace. That thing you showed me is, helped propel me to where I'm at right now. So, if I can share and extend some of that knowledge to some of you guys, once we've pulled, then I'm totally willing to do that. That way I can help you out the most that I can.
My man, there you go. Jason, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and like has been pointed out, I'm new to the sport. I'm taking in as much info as I can. I'm excited for this for sure, but I'm looking to represent Idaho. I know David and Brennan are going to come to represent Idaho. I think it's going to be, bigger than people think. And not only the turnout for the tournament, but, the guys pulling up here, I think we're looking to, I know you said you don't get surprised anymore, but, we got some strong guys up here. I think it's going to be some good matches and looking to come out with wins all across the board.
There you go. 2 more comments before we shut it down, guys, because we've been on here for about an hour. So Kyle Darby was like, tell Nick Mower, if you're listening, you'll see him in those 242 rankings because he's thirsty and he's hungry to get on there. And then Adam says, all you need is a low hand top roll. That might be true, but I tell you what, Adam, and here's the thing, because this is the one thing about arm wrestling you got to understand. There is not one move that's going to conquer everything. One move, there's always a counter to every move out there. Yes, there is a counter to the low hand top roll. And if I grip somebody a certain way, I will shut that low hand top roll down. You know, so I'm just be aware of that. It's an awesome move. Don't get me wrong. That's why there's always shoulder press, flop wrist press, top roll, low hand top roll, posting top roll, hook, drag. Pick a style, guys. Pick a style, because not everybody has the same body mechanics. As I say, I don't, because before I got there, I'm going to show everybody who's watching. Here's my mechanics right here. Why is my right hand so far behind? Watch my rising on my left. Bam, watch my right. Only goes that far, just like this. I'll show you guys from the side. Once again, here's my left hand. Rises like that. My right hand only goes like that. So I have no riser on my right hand, which is why I'm having so many problems. Now, when I pronate, here we go. If I pronate with my left hand, boom, just like that. Right hand, it stops right there, right? Once again, left hand, bam. Right hand, stops right there. So that's limited mobility that I have on my right hand, which is why I'm putting all my eggs in the basket on the left. So it is what it is. But gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this Friday night. I know you guys got other things you want to do. So once again, Jason Foster, Nick Mower, thank you for joining me on the show.
Hey, thanks for having us, man. Thank you, Nick, for accepting the match. Thank you to Jody. Thank you to Aaron for giving us all a shot, and hoping to make Idaho proud and give a good fight to everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out and asking for the match. You know, it's got me excited to go see what Jason Foster in Idaho is all about. So I'm excited to go travel over and pull with everybody over there.
All right, guys, we'll touch base real soon. I mean, we're in a group chat, so we'll be keeping in touch anyway. But for those people out there, don't forget, in 2 weeks, Doug Goodman will be a guest on the show, so we can go over the rules. That'll be a big thing. I hope I have a lot of people in here, because I know there's going to be a lot of questions. So stay tuned for that. Until then, everybody, enjoy your Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Nick, Jason, I will talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night. Mower, take care, buddy.
We'll do, you too.
So, Mower, Foster, going at it. Best of 5, right-handed. Yersley, Brennan, best of 5, right-handed. David and myself, best of 5, left-handed. It's going to be happening. I hope I see everybody out there. So everybody in the chat, help us out. We're going to try to promote this thing as much as possible, because I think that once this thing kicks off, everybody's going to want to go, because if I know nothing else, once you put one tournament on and it's awesome, then the next one's going to be better, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and next thing you know, you got a big thing going on. Trust me when I say this. I'm glad you guys are doing this, because, like I said, arm wrestling is kind of almost deserted in the Northwest. So we got to put the spark back in here, you know? So, again, everybody, it's Friday night. Go enjoy yourself with your loved ones. Be nice to each other. And as always, I'll see you when I see you. Y'all take care. Be nice to one another.